Got the Kioti ck2610 here. Hit the 50 hours. It's due for the first oil change. Basically 50 hours you're due for engine oil and filter and the 2 hydrostat filters. You're supposed to check over everything as well. Grease it, which I usually grease it. I don't know if every day if I'm using it a full day. If it's not a full day, probably every other time I use it. And I put high temp grease in it. It seems to hold up the best. The engine oil here looks pretty simple. You got your engine oil filter here. The oil pan is a little bit of a different setup. There are actually 2 drain plugs. The oil pan is actually V'd for the drive shaft. So you gotta pull both the plugs. As far as the engine oil filter goes, I recommend using the Kioti brand filter. I have all Kioti brand filters here. This is the air cleaner, fuel filter. I just bought everything, even though it's not due for it yet. The hydraulic and the transmission filters. I'm going to be using Shell Rotella. That's what I used in all my other diesels. And I have a bunch of this bunch of this oil left. I got a good deal on it. It was on sale. I'll probably switch to the T5 eventually once I use this oil up, but everywhere you look, it's pretty good reviews on the Shell Rotella. You watch Deep Boss Garage's channel. He has a little show on a million miles Cummins, and that's all that guy ever used in his work truck. And it seems to have a higher zinc content and phosphorus content, which is good for these older school diesel engines where you got to do valve adjustments on them yet, because this engine is not a modern emissions engine. This is old school mechanical injection pump. But as far as oil goes, the manual, it says it calls for pretty much 1.5 gallons. Pretty much any API CH grade oil, which the Rotella is all the way up to CK4 grade, which is pretty much the top of the line at the moment. And I'm going to be putting 1540 back in it because it's always in a heated garage, so I don't really got to worry about cold starts on this tractor. I mean, if you're in a colder climate, you can worry about it. But we'll get started here draining this. Looks like it's 17 millimeter. Oil's not even black yet. I mean, overall, it looks pretty simple and straightforward. Do the oil change. Nothing really anything special about it. I mean, the oil pan is the most different thing on this tractor I've seen. But up here you can see your grease fitting. There's a grease fitting here, and the grease fitting on the front of the axle there. That's for your axle pivot. I pretty much grease that every time I do an oil change on my tractors. Other than that, there really ain't a lot of grease fittings on this tractor. I think there's supposed to be some grease fittings on the pedals here. I saw in the book, but I think that might just be on the clutch pedal, because the hydrostat models don't have a clutch pedal. Just a brake and the forward pedals, forward and reverse. Let that drain for a little bit. I'm gonna get a piece of cardboard ready for the oil filter up here. Try and redirect the oil. see if we can redirect a little bit of this oil flow with this piece of cardboard. Try and not make a mess. Usually never works that way, but definitely didn't want this oil filter coming off. This one, they're pretty good. To me, it just looks like, kind of looks like a PH2 Fram filter, size-wise. Let's see if this is gonna work. Looks the same. Get some oil on that seal. The weird thing with these filters is there's no on the factory filters, there's no numbers. Which kind of makes it be a pain in the ass when it comes to the hydrostat and the hydraulic filter, because figuring out which one's which, because they are different number filters but similar sized. So that you're gonna have to make sure you don't mix up. Okay, nice and tight. I think we successfully did not make a mess. Put our drain bolts back in. snug them up. Hit it with a little shop saw. Get the oil off of it. Should be ready to add some engine oil. Engine oil fills right here. See if I can get this set up here. See if I can do this without making a mess. Probably one thing I'm going to do in the future, I'm going to buy the Kioti engine oil and send it out for oil analysis, just to see what the heck oil they're actually using, because obviously they don't make their own engine oil. See if they can tell me it's synthetic or conventional or semi, and see what the additive package is, because I'm curious how it compares to something like the Rotella, which is pretty much one of the class leading engine oils. I mean, either way, I think no matter what you're using, as long as you're changing it, keeping clean oil in this tractor, it's going to be good regardless. Just save your receipts, showing what you bought, and making sure it's the right API certified oil. But I'll grab another jug here, put another half a gallon in. Okay, that's 1.5 gallons of oil. We're gonna put the cap back on, start it up, run it a little bit, and then check it. One surprising thing, this oil fill cap is actually feels like aluminum. It's not plastic. Another nice thing I like that they do with these tractors is you don't have to open the hood to check the engine oil. Let me grab a clean paper towel here and we'll see where we're at.
Looks like we are full. Looks good to me. I think it says it's good for it's good for until 250 hours for the next engine oil change. I'll probably do it at 150. I just like to do on smaller diesel tractors like this. I like to do 100 hours. I mean, we'll take a look at the oil once we get close to it, see how dark it is. If it doesn't really look dark, maybe we'll go a little bit longer. But I just from the Mahindra Max 25 that we own, that calls for, I think it calls in the book for 100-hour oil changes, and that oil is usually dark by that point. And I mean, that I think we have around 800 hours on. We've only been using rotella in that since we owned it. Never had a problem with the tractor, and then that thing's been used hard. That tractor is about 2 sizes smaller than what this tractor is. So yeah, hopefully this helps some people out doing their first engine oil service. Next we're gonna go over how to do the hydrostat oil. I gotta look in the book and figure out which filters which. Pretty much there's one of the filters there, and there's another filter on the other side. I'm not sure which one's which yet though. I'll do a video on that in a little bit, but please like and subscribe.